It's a quiet evening, and you're sitting across from someone you trust, a mentor, a parent, someone who's seen the ups and downs of life. They lean in, their voice steady, and they say, "Let me tell you something you need to know about men." You feel the weight of their words even before they finish the sentence. This isn't about gossip or surface-level advice. It's about the truths that shape relationships, the ones we often learn too late. Here's the thing. Life doesn't hand out a manual for understanding people, least of all men. Have you ever wondered why some men pull away just when things start to feel serious? Or why their actions sometimes don't match their words? These aren't random behaviors. They're patterns, shaped by emotions, fears, and sometimes a lack of understanding of their own communication styles. But how do you navigate this? How do you separate the men who respect your boundaries from those who don't? The ones who value honesty from the ones who don't even know what that means? Today, we're diving into the 7 harsh truths every woman should know about men. Truths that will not only help you understand their actions, but also empower you to set your own standards. If you find this valuable, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more insights that connect timeless philosophy to modern life. Number 1. Actions speak louder than words. They say talk is cheap, and when it comes to relationships, this couldn't be truer. Words can charm, persuade, and promise the world, but actions are what reveal the truth. A man might tell you he's deeply committed, but what does it mean if he's consistently late, forgets important moments, or cancels plans without a second thought? His actions tell a story that his words never could. Picture this. Someone you're dating says he's serious about building a future with you. Yet, when the time comes to show up for that conversation about the next steps, he changes the topic or conveniently becomes unavailable. This isn't just a coincidence. It's a pattern. His actions are showing you that commitment isn't as important to him as his words might suggest. As the Stoics often said, what we do outweighs what we say. Actions are rooted in a person's true priorities, shaped by their values and motivations. Words, on the other hand, are fleeting. They can be spoken without accountability or follow-through. To navigate this, pay attention to consistency. Does he make an effort to keep his promises? For instance, if he says he'll call after work, does he? Or does the phone stay silent, leaving you with unanswered questions? Trust isn't built on empty words, but on a steady pattern of reliability and care. Here's another clue. How does he treat others? If he routinely breaks commitments to his friends or avoids responsibilities at work, that behavior will likely surface in your relationship too. Dishonesty and unreliability aren't isolated traits, they're habits. Now think about this. If you're constantly finding excuses for someone's behavior, justifying why their actions don't align with their words, ask yourself, are you seeing their potential or their reality? Stoicism teaches us to accept what is, not what we wish it could be. So how can you apply this? Look closely at how a man handles challenges. Does he show up for you during difficult times, or does he disappear when things get tough? True commitment isn't about grand declarations, but about small, consistent gestures that prove someone cares. Reflect on this. Have you ever found yourself trusting words over actions, only to feel disappointed later? What would change if you prioritized what someone does over what they say? This principle isn't just for relationships, it's a lens for understanding people in every aspect of life. Remember, actions don't lie. If a man values you, his behavior will make it clear. Words may spark attraction, but actions build trust and love. Choose to see the truth in what is done, not just in what is said. Number 2. Respect is non-negotiable. Respect isn't just something you hope for in a relationship, it's the foundation everything else is built. Without it, love, trust, and even basic communication fall apart. But here's the catch. Respect isn't always obvious, and it's not just about grand gestures. It shows up in the little things, like how someone listens when you speak, or how they react when you set boundaries. Think about a time when someone dismissed your feelings, maybe by saying, "You're overreacting," or cutting you off mid-sentence. It stings, doesn't it? It's not just the words, it's the underlying message that your thoughts or emotions don't matter. A man who respects you, though, will hear you out, even if he doesn't always agree. He values your perspective, not just because he loves you, but because he sees you as an equal. The Stoics often emphasize the importance of mutual respect, viewing it as essential for harmony in relationships. Marcus Aurelius once said, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." If someone's thoughts are rooted in belittling others, their actions will reflect that. Respect isn't a sometimes thing. It's a core trait visible in how someone treats everyone around them, not just you. Now let's add a little humor to this serious topic. If a man ignores your boundaries, like showing up uninvited when you clearly asked for space, it's not romantic. It's a red flag with flashing lights. Relationships aren't action movies. No one gets bonus points for dramatic stunts that disregard your wishes. But here's the real question. How do you recognize respect in action? Start with how he handles disagreements. Does he listen, or does he shut you down? Respect doesn't mean there won't be conflicts. It means those conflicts are approached with kindness and a willingness to understand. Imagine a man who says, "I hear what you're saying, and here's how I feel about it." That's respect in motion, not someone raising their voice or walking away when things get tough. It's also about how he speaks to you in general. If he makes hurtful jokes at your expense, even just kidding, ask yourself, where's the line between humor and disrespect? The answer is simple. It's wherever you say it is. So let me ask you this. Are you setting boundaries and expecting them to be honored? Or are you letting things slide to keep the peace? Respect begins with how you allow yourself to be treated. And if someone doesn't treat you with the care and regard you deserve, the real question is, why are they still in your life? Reflect on this. In your relationships, are you being heard, valued, and supported? Or are you settling for less, hoping things will change? Respect isn't a bonus, it's the bare minimum. Number 3. Independence is your greatest strength. Independence isn't just a nice quality to have. It's your greatest strength in any relationship. The moment you lose yourself in someone else's life, you risk sacrificing not only your happiness, but also the very traits that make you attractive in the first place. A man who truly values you will admire your drive, respect your goals, and encourage your individuality. But here's the truth. Your independence isn't just for his benefit. It's for yours. Let's think about a woman who used to love painting. It was her passion, her escape. But after getting into a relationship, she started skipping her art classes to spend more time with her partner. Months pass, and she realizes she hasn't picked up a brush in ages. What happened? She gave up a piece of herself to prioritize someone else. A relationship that demands that kind of sacrifice doesn't uplift you. It diminishes you. As the Stoics taught, you must cultivate your inner strength and never place your happiness entirely in someone else's hands. Seneca wrote, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Independence isn't about shutting others out. It's about ensuring you remain the master of your own life, even while sharing it with someone. Now let's add some humor. If he thinks your independence is intimidating, it's probably because he's never had to face a woman who knows her worth. Trust me, your ambition and confidence aren't flaws, they're filters. They sift out the ones who aren't ready for the real thing. So how do you protect your independence in a relationship? First, stay connected to your passions. Whether it's running, baking, or launching your dream business, keep those parts of your life alive. Don't let them fade into the background because you're too busy. A partner worth keeping will want to see you thriving, not just existing. Second, maintain your friendships. Do you ever notice how easy it is to let relationships outside your romantic one slide? Don't let that happen. Your support system of friends and family is just as important as your partner. They keep you grounded and remind you of who you are outside of the relationship. And finally, ask yourself, are you building a life you love, or are you waiting for someone else to build it for you? Financial independence is part of this equation too. It's not just about having your own money, it's about the freedom to make choices without feeling dependent on someone else. So here's the big question. Are you bringing your full self into your relationships, or are you holding back to make someone else more comfortable? Remember, a strong, independent person doesn't just attract a good partner, they inspire one. Your independence isn't just your strength, it's your power. Don't ever give it away. Number 4, emotional availability is key. Emotional availability isn't a luxury in relationships. It's essential. Without it, even the strongest connections can feel shallow and incomplete. It's easy to fall for someone's charm, their ambition, or even their sense of humor. But if they can't open up emotionally, there's a wall between you that's hard to climb. The truth is that love can't thrive where emotions are locked away. Imagine being with someone who never talks about their feelings. They care for you, but when life throws challenges your way, they shut down. Maybe he avoids conversations about his fears or struggles, brushing them off with, "I'm fine." It feels like you're on the outside, trying to connect with someone who's keeping the most important parts of himself hidden. Over time, that distance can wear you down. The Stoics believed in emotional control, but never at the expense of connection. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Don't be ashamed of needing help. Vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength." Sharing emotions builds bridges, not barriers. A man who can express himself, whether it's love, frustration, or fear, is a man who's ready to create a deeper bond. Now let's lighten this up. If he can talk for hours about his favorite football team but clams up when you ask about his day, you're not in a relationship. You're in a press conference with a very private spokesperson. Humor aside, emotional availability is about balance. He doesn't need to pour his heart out every second, but he does need to show up when it matters. So, how do you recognize emotional availability? Start by watching how he handles conflict. Does he work through it, or does he avoid it altogether? When he's upset, does he explain why, or does he shut down? A man who's emotionally available won't be perfect. No one is, but he'll make an effort to communicate, even when it's hard. Ask yourself, does he open up about the things that matter to him? His goals, his fears, his dreams? Emotional availability isn't just about sharing. It's about being willing to let someone in even when it feels vulnerable. And what about you? Are you making space for emotional connection, or are you settling for surface-level conversations? Relationships thrive when both people are willing to show their true selves, flaws and all. Here's something to reflect on. Have you ever been in a relationship where emotions were one-sided? Maybe you were always the one sharing while the other person stayed silent. How did that make you feel? Emotional availability isn't just the key to love, it's the key to growth. Without it, you're not building a partnership, you're building a facade. So, the next time you're in a relationship, ask yourself, are we truly connecting, or are we just existing side by side? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. Number 5. Honesty is a reflection of character. Honesty isn't just about telling the truth, it's a reflection of who someone really is. A man who values honesty values integrity, trust, and accountability. But a man who lies, even in small ways, reveals more than he realizes about his character. The question is, are you paying attention? Let's say you're dating someone who claims he was stuck in traffic, but you later find out he was home the entire time, scrolling through his phone. It might seem harmless, a white lie to avoid an argument, but it raises a bigger issue. If he can't be truthful about something as small as being late, how can you trust him when it comes to the big things? The Stoics taught that virtue is the foundation of a meaningful life, and honesty is central to that virtue. Seneca once said, "Truth is the mother of justice." Honesty builds trust, and trust is the bedrock of every strong relationship. Without it, there's no foundation, just shifting sand. Now, here's a little humor to lighten the mood. If a man says he forgot your birthday, but somehow remembers every stat from his favorite sports team, honesty isn't the problem. Priorities are. Still, honesty and accountability often go hand in hand. A man who avoids admitting fault or shifts blame onto others is showing you that he lacks the maturity to take responsibility for his actions. So how can you spot honesty in action? Start with the little things. Does he follow through on his promises? If he says he'll call after work, does he? If he offers to help with something, does he actually show up? A man who respects honesty will make an effort to live it every day, not just when it's convenient. And here's a key question. How does he handle difficult conversations? When something goes wrong, does he own up to it, or does he deflect and make excuses? A truly honest man doesn't run from the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. His willingness to admit mistakes shows not only integrity, but also respect for the relationship. But honesty isn't just about him. it's about you too. Are you holding him accountable, or are you brushing off red flags because they're easier to ignore? Are you expecting honesty, or are you settling for less because you want to avoid conflict? Take a moment to reflect. Have you ever felt uneasy in a relationship because something just didn't add up? That feeling, the one you can't quite explain, is often your intuition picking up on dishonesty. The Stoics believed in trusting what you observe, not what you hope to see. So ask yourself this: are you building trust on a solid foundation of truth, or are you standing on shaky ground, hoping it will hold? The answer will guide you toward the kind of relationship you truly deserve. Number 6. Not all men are ready for commitment. Not all men are ready for commitment, and here's the thing: it rarely has anything to do with you. A man's readiness to commit often depends on where he is in his own life, not on your worth or the quality of the relationship. Yet, it can be easy to misinterpret his hesitation as something you did wrong. That's why understanding this truth can save you a lot of time and heartache. Imagine you're seeing someone who says all the right things. He talks about how much he values you, but every time you bring up the future, moving in together, marriage, or even planning a vacation 6 months down the road, he changes the subject. His hesitation isn't just random. It's a sign that he's not in the same place emotionally or mentally as you are. The Stoics taught us to accept what is, rather than what we wish it could be. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You can't control whether someone is ready for commitment, but you can control how much of your time and energy you give to waiting for them to change. Here's a bit of humor to ease the sting. If he says he's working on himself, but spends more time curating his fantasy football lineup than reflecting on his goals, it's probably time to reevaluate what ready really means to him. So how do you recognize when someone isn't ready? First, pay attention to their actions, not just their words. Does he follow through on serious conversations, or does he avoid them altogether? Second, notice if his personal priorities consistently come before the relationship. Someone who's deeply invested in building a career or enjoying their freedom might not be emotionally available for the level of commitment you want. Now, ask yourself, are your timelines and goals aligned? If you're ready to settle down and start a family, but he's focused on traveling the world solo or finding himself, you're operating on completely different paths. No matter how much you care for each other, mismatched priorities will eventually cause frustration. But here's the important part. It's not your job to convince someone to be ready. Commitment isn't something you can force. If you find yourself waiting for a man to come around, you're investing in a future that might never happen. Wouldn't it be better to focus on finding someone whose goals and readiness match your own? Reflect on this. How much of your time and emotional energy have you spent hoping someone would change? What if instead you sought someone who's already on the same page as you? The Stoics remind us to live in harmony with reality, not fight against it. In relationships, that means embracing the truth about where someone stands and where you stand too. Number 7. You deserve the best. Never settle. You deserve the best, not just in a partner, but in every aspect of your life. Yet so many people settle for less, often out of fear. Fear of being alone, fear of not finding someone better, or fear that they're asking for too much. Let me tell you something. Settling isn't just a compromise, it's a betrayal of yourself. Picture this. Someone treats you with just enough kindness to keep you hoping, but not enough to make you feel truly valued. They cancel plans last minute, brush off your concerns, or make you feel like your needs are a burden. You tell yourself they're just going through a phase, or that no one's perfect. But deep down, you know this isn't how you want to be treated. As the Stoics believed, your worth isn't determined by others, it's something you carry within. Epictetus wrote, "Know, first, who you are, and then adorn yourself accordingly." In relationships, that means holding yourself to a standard that reflects your inner value, not lowering it to fit someone else's lack of effort. Now let's add a little humor. If you have to convince someone to respect your boundaries or remember your anniversary, you're not dating a partner. You're managing an employee who's overdue for a performance review. Relationships should feel like a partnership, not a project. So how do you ensure you're not settling? First, regularly check in with yourself. Are you truly happy, or are you constantly making excuses for their behavior? Second, look at the balance in the relationship. Are you the one putting in all the effort while they coast by on promises and charm? Love is a two-way street. It's not your job to do all the heavy lifting. Ask yourself, are you staying in this relationship because it genuinely adds joy to your life, or because you're afraid of what happens if it ends? Fear is a powerful force, but it should never dictate how you live your life or who you choose to share it with. And let's be clear, not settling doesn't mean expecting perfection. It means expecting respect, honesty, and a genuine effort to grow together. No one is flawless, but the right partner will make you feel supported, valued, and safe, not anxious or unsure. So here's the big question. What would your life look like if you only allowed people into it who truly uplifted you? The Stoics remind us that our time and energy are precious. Why waste them on someone who doesn't see your worth? Take a moment to reflect. Are you settling for good enough, or are you waiting for the best? Remember, you are worthy of a relationship that inspires and empowers you. Don't settle for anything less than what you truly deserve. Life is full of lessons, and these 7 truths about men are ones I hope you carry with you. Actions will always speak louder than words. Respect is the foundation of any strong connection, and your independence is a strength that should never be compromised. Emotional availability creates deeper bonds. Honesty reflects character. Not all men are ready for commitment, and above all, you deserve the best. Never settle for less. These aren't just ideas to think about. They're principles to live by. The more you apply them, the more you'll notice how they shape your relationships and even your own sense of self-worth. When you prioritize respect, honesty, and shared goals, you'll not only attract the right people, but also protect yourself from the wrong ones. So let me leave you with this. What changes could you make today to honor your own standards and expectations in relationships? Are you holding on to connections that drain you, or are you making space for ones that uplift and inspire you? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Share your reflections or personal experiences in the comments below. Your journey could inspire someone else, and this channel is all about building a community where we grow and learn together. If you found this discussion valuable, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more insights that connect timeless philosophy with practical advice for modern life. Your journey starts here.